All right, let's dive into a real medical detective story. We're cracking open the case of type 1 diabetes. For decades, it's been a tough mystery to solve, but new clues are finally showing us how to predict it long before it ever strikes. I mean, just think about that for a second. What if you could see a chronic illness coming, not just days or weeks ahead, but years before you even feel a single thing? This isn't science fiction, not anymore. This is the new reality in how we understand type 1 diabetes, or T1D.
So, what is T1D, really? Well, at its heart, it's a classic case of mistaken identity. It's an autoimmune disease, which basically means your body's own security system gets horribly confused. It launches an all out attack on itself, and its target? These super important insulin producing cells in your pancreas. It's like a betrayal from within.
And we're not talking about a small-scale operation here. Back in 2021, an estimated 8.4 million people all over the world were living with T1D. This isn't some rare fringe condition. It's a global health challenge, and honestly, the numbers are growing.
And that brings us right to the heart of our investigation, the big question. What on earth pulls the trigger? What makes a perfectly good immune system turn against the very cells it's supposed to be protecting? For years, this has been the central mystery we've been trying to unravel. So, to crack the case, researchers have really zeroed in on two main suspects. Let's take a look at the evidence they've gathered. On one side, you have suspect number one, our own genes, our DNA blueprint. And on the other side, you've got suspect number two, the world around us, our environment. For the longest time, the big debate was, which one is it? Which one is the real culprit? Now, the case for genetics, it's pretty strong. Certain genes, especially these HLA class II genes you see here, are really closely linked to T1D. They actually account for about half of the genetic risk. Then you have other genes like CTSH that can stir up inflammation, or even variations in the INS gene, which is in charge of insulin itself. It's like our DNA can be pre-wired to be susceptible. But then you've got the environment. And the list of potential triggers from the outside world is long. Things like viral infections, especially enteroviruses, have been found right at the scene of the crime, in the pancreas of T1D patients. But also exposure to pesticides, using antibiotics really early in life, even shifts in our gut bacteria. They've all been linked to the disease. The point is, our genes aren't acting alone in some kind of vacuum. And here it is. This is the piece of evidence that blows the case wide open. The smoking gun that proves neither suspect acted alone. See, identical twins have the exact same DNA. So if T1D was only about genes, if one twin got it, the other would have to get it too, right? 100% of the time. But that's not what happens. And that proves something else has to be at play. And this clue led investigators to a massive twist in the case. It wasn't one suspect or the other. It was a conspiracy. A conspiracy between the two. The real answer, it turns out, is in this incredibly complex dance between a person's genetic risk and all the environmental stuff they're exposed to. The best way to think about it is this. Genetics loads the gun, but the environment is what actually pulls the trigger. And the bridge that connects these two culprits is this amazing field called epigenetics. Now, environmental factors don't actually change your DNA code, but what they can do is stick little chemical tags onto it, and these tags act like light switches, turning certain genes on or off. It's how the outside world literally reaches inside our cells and tells our genetic blueprint how to behave. Pretty wild, right? So now that we kind of get the how, the mystery shifts a bit. If this whole thing is a slow-burning conspiracy, can we actually see it happening? Can we predict the crime before it's even committed? And the answer to that is a huge, resounding yes. We now know that the autoimmune attack in T1D isn't some sudden ambush. Nope. It's a slow, methodical process that we can actually track over months or even years. This completely changes how we see the disease. It's not a sudden illness, it's a predictable journey. In fact, scientists have mapped out 3 clear stages that happen before any symptoms show up. First, there's stage 1. This is the silent attack. The body's making these self-attacking antibodies, but blood sugar is still totally normal. Then comes stage 2, the tipping point. The attack is still going on, and now blood sugar starts getting a little wonky, but you still don't feel sick. And finally, stage 3 is when those classic symptoms finally hit, and that's when you get a clinical diagnosis. Now check this out. Once a person hits stage 1, meaning they have 2 or more of those telltale autoantibodies, which are like the fingerprints of the immune system's attack, Their 5-year risk of getting full-blown symptoms is about 44%. The clock has officially started ticking. But once they hit stage 2, when those blood sugar levels start to go off kilter, that 5-year risk jumps dramatically to around 75%. You can see how the outcome is getting more and more certain.
And this is the clincher. For anyone who reaches stage 2, their lifetime risk of developing symptomatic T1D is nearly 100%. It's practically a sure thing. This predictability is the breakthrough. It proves we can see this disease coming from a mile away.
And being able to stage the disease like this before anyone even feels sick, it's so much more than just a neat scientific discovery. It is a complete and total game changer for patients and for doctors.
So why? Why is this so incredibly important? What is the real-world benefit of knowing that someone is on the path to T1D before they even feel sick at all?
Well, this graph says it all. When people are just diagnosed out in the community, after symptoms have already appeared, nearly 40% of them are already in a really dangerous, life-threatening state called diabetic ketoacidosis, or DKA. But for those who are identified early through screening, that rate plummets to just 3%. That's the difference between a medical crisis and a manageable plan. And the benefits just keep stacking up. Catching it early means we can help preserve more of the patient's own insulin-producing cells, which leads to better health for years to come. Plus, it opens up this incredible door for people to join clinical trials that are testing new therapies designed to slow, or maybe even stop, the disease before it ever gets to stage 3. So this brings us to the future of our detective story. We've identified the culprits, we understand their conspiracy, and we've even learned how to predict their prime. So what's the final chapter? We've really moved from mystery to prediction. The ultimate goal, the final piece of this whole puzzle, is prevention. With this unbelievable power to see the disease coming years in advance, the new race is on. The race to develop ways to step in during stage 1 or stage 2 and stop the crime from ever being committed in the first place. And that is the investigation that will define the future of type 1 diabetes.